Hey, my sweet loves, my sweet, sweet children. I hope y'all doing wonderful. I hope everyone is healthy. I am Mrs. Roman here with Educating with Love, and I'm providing this lesson for you in Go Math, lesson 7 in chapter 8, and we need to solve word problems. Okay, don't shut off the video. I know word problems are difficult, and they can be very intimidating, but you can do it. You can do it. So we're going to read it carefully. Maybe we have to read it 2 times, maybe we have to read it 3 times, we have to rewind the video or rewind again, or maybe you just have to fast forward it, whatever you have to do, but we can make it through this. So we're gonna read this word problem, but I want you to know that when we read this word problem, I'm gonna give you so many different options on how to actually solve this, because I wanna make sure that you understand that when you're solving word problems, there's not just one way of solving a word problem. Maybe for some people, it makes sense one way, and some people it makes sense a different way. So I'm gonna try to approach all the different ways right now. All right, here we go. Let's start. The first thing that everyone must do is you have to read it at least 1 time. And I suggest reading at least 2 times really, or more. We're gonna read it all through together once and then we'll go back slowly. After driving 25 miles, Kevin has traveled 2/3 of the distance from his house to his friend's house. Use the equation 25 equals 2/3 D to find the total distance, which is D, in miles to his friend's house. Well, you're so lucky because actually in this word problem, they are just giving you the equation. You don't even have to create the equation. All you have to do is take the equation and solve it. So these word problems, you really don't have to do too much thinking, but I want to take this opportunity to make you think. You need to think about, what information do I know? What information do I have to know to solve this problem? And how can I use that information to solve this problem? So let's go back and read it slowly. After driving 25 miles, I'm gonna stop there. There's a comma, so I'm gonna stop. After driving 25 miles, someone's in their car, visualize it. Driving in your car, and you've been driving like for about 25 minutes, a half hour, and you just a long distance. So I'm gonna be driving, I'm gonna draw a little car. Okay, because I'm driving. Oh, don't pay attention to my silly little car here. Here's the door. All right, there's my car. And my car's been driving for 25 miles. Kevin has traveled 2/3 of the distance. Stop, 2/3 of the distance. I'm gonna underline this information, 25 miles, after he's been driving 25 miles. He traveled 2/3 of, very important, of the distance. So I'm going to draw a tape diagram, cut it into thirds, and he's been driving 2/3 of the distance. Now, the 2/3 of the distance right here is 2/3, all of this. It says that they want us to use the equation and that they want to find out what's the total distance. So right now we know that the 2/3 of the distance is 25 miles. Okay, but we're missing this piece. So from 0 to, I don't know. Well, just look at that picture. What do you know? I know that 2/3 is equal to 25 miles. 2/3 is the same thing as 25 miles. What if I cut the 2/3 in half? If I cut it in half, it would give me 1/3. Aren't I missing 1/3 here to find out the total distance? Yes. So if I can figure out how much is that 1/3 worth in miles, I'll be able to put it all together and find out the total distance. So you have to look at 25 miles and think, what is half of the 25 miles? All right, now here comes when Miss Roman's gonna make you do this in so many different ways. Let's do a little bit of mental math. 25 miles. I have to cut it in half. I already figured that out. What is half of 25? Now we can do long division, but I want you to think of a different way. What's half of 20? 10. 10 plus 10 makes 20. What's half of 5? Take out your 5 fingers. 2 and 2. And then we have this other finger here. If I cut this in half and give it to him, and cut this in half and give it to him, I'll be able to get 2 and a half piece. So 2 and a half plus, 2 and a half plus 10, 2 and a half plus 10. If I add these up, I get 12 and a half. So half of 25 is 12 and a half. I just did division in my mind. Let's go ahead and do traditional way. I could also do 25 divided by 2. Go ahead, do your traditional, does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers, or dad, mom, sister, brother, rover, and you would get 12 and a half. Okay? So now I know that this piece right here is worth 12 and a half miles. Okay? Let's go ahead and put all that information together because they want to know the total distance that he has to drive to get to his friend's house. So what I can do, there's so many things that I can do right now. I know that this piece is also worth 12 and a half, and this piece is worth 12 and a half miles. So I can do 12 and a half times 3. I could do 12 and a half plus 12 and a half plus 12 and a half, add them all up. That's another way I can solve this if I'm not good at multiplication with decimals. Or I know that this was worth 25, so I could do 25 plus 12 and a half. Make sure you put your decimals in the right spot because I just have 12 and a half left. This was 25 plus 12 and a half would give me the grand total. So here, let's just use a multiplication. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3. And then we have to move decimal one time over. One time over, my answer is 37.5. So 37.5 is the total distance that he had to drive, 37.5 miles. Okay, that's my final answer. Now, that's great. We visualized, we thought of solving this in different ways. Now let's use the equation that the book has provided in the word problem to help us solve. Here we go. 25 equals 2/3 D. Well, I like to write the 2/3 D on the left-hand side, and it's okay that I can move it because if they're equal, I can move them around. Oops. We have to find out and solve D. So you have to get D by itself. The way you get D by itself is you have to use inverse operation. So right now, 2/3 and D are multiplying. So we have to divide the 2/3 on both sides because we're going to use inverse operation. How do you divide fractions? Do you remember? Remember, we have to flip it and multiply it. So let's get the reciprocal. The reciprocal would be 3 over 2. We're going to multiply it on this side and multiply it on this side, 3 over 2. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. What happens? These cancel out. They cancel out because 6 divided by 6 is 1. And remember, 1 just becomes an invincible number in front of the D, or invisible quotient. So we know that that's 6. So really what we're left with is just 1D. Okay, now I can multiply 25 times 3 is 75. And 75 divided by 2. Now, that's an improper fraction. The way you get rid of improper fractions is you have to divide. This line right here in a fraction means divide. So 75 divided by 2, I have to do the division. I can do it on the side. 75 divided by 2. You know how to divide. Go ahead and divide that. When you divide, you're going to get 37.5 miles like we got last time. Yes, 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 yes. All right, boys and girls. So that makes sense. The way you double check your work, you can do 37.5 times 2/3. You can convert the 2/3 into a decimal and multiply that answer, which would come out to 0.66, times it by 37.5, and you should get 25. All right, good luck.